As I'm sure you're well aware, there have been some recent changes to the driver lineup. At key points in a season, drivers who are due to end their current contracts may choose to move between teams, or even go into retirement. I'll send you an email each time a move occurs to keep you abreast of any recent changes.
Hey, what's up guys, Aarava here, and welcome back to an episode of my F1 2019 career mode, episode number 10 today for the Austrian Grand Prix. And as you heard right at the start there, we've got our very first official driver transfer of the season. Very exciting times here. You can see by the email that Emma has given us, Sergio Perez is going to be moving to the Renault team, and Nico Hülkenberg moving the other way to Racing Point. So we talked about it in a separate video at the very start of when all the F1 2019 game videos started coming out, that driver transfers were going to be a thing, and I said that later down the line at some point in my career mode it happened to me, and that's how I know it's officially a thing in the game. And so here you go, looking at the screens, you've got Nico Hülkenberg in the Racing Point, you know, get up, you know, the hat, the t-shirt, whatnot. Same thing with Sergio Perez. It looks very, very odd, to be honest, and it's very strange to really look at and know that it's not a mod, it's not a PC mod, it's actually a game mechanic that has done that, and it's so awesome. So yeah, number 27 Hülkenberg will be at Racing Point, and number 11 Sergio Perez at Renault for this episode onwards for the season. Obviously, there might be some more driver transfers and driver moves at the end of the season, because we've been told majority of the moves do generally happen at the end of the season. But I've gotten quite lucky here in the career mode where it's well, at least one move has happened midway through. So very exciting times. We'll see, obviously, how that affects things, because obviously the moves get done based on how the drivers perform. So clearly, maybe the game and like the way that it's been decided is maybe Perez or Hülkenberg tickle the fancy of the other team and done well. So we'll see how Perez can do in the Renault. Obviously, we're in a bit of a fight with Renault as the Alfa Romeo team. We're trying to, you know, remain that P4 position in the constructors title. So if Perez can be the catalyst that takes them back up into P4, then we'll see if that's been a positive move or not for the driver transfer market. But we're going to move on to the rest of this episode then. But yeah, it's a really exciting way to start off the episode. But if you guys did miss the previous one, then be sure to go check that one out before you see this one. It was the French GP last time out. We bounced back really well from a disaster we had at the Canadian Grand Prix. And like I said in the end of that episode, we were going to have 3 upgrades coming to the car, and here they are: engine power, drag reduction, and weight reduction. So all upgrades that should make our car very good around Austria, because it is a very much a power circuit. And so I'm hoping that this can be the kind of catalyst that gets us very much comfortably into Q3 maybe. But we're going to have to see, because qualifying is what you never know what could happen there. But without further ado, let's just dive into Saturday and drive this car with Tamanga and see what we can do with these new upgrades.
Thank you for joining us once again for today's qualifying session. Sit back, relax, and enjoy what we hope will be a fantastic contest for pole position. And as we wait, poised for the start of what will hopefully be a thrilling qualifying, why don't you tell us, Anthony Davidson, about the things you can do to really get the most out of a car in a session like this?
Well, you're largely limited by the Parc Fermé regulations, of course. Back in the old days, pre-2004, you'd work on both a qualifying setup and a race setup over practice, and then swap them over after qualifying. So the race car was quite different at times to the qualifying car. Nowadays, though, you have to find a compromise that works for both. There are a few things that you can still adjust during the session, such as the differential, the brake bias, and the front wing angle, but that's about it. So it's more about optimizing what you do have and adapting your own style to suit the track conditions.
Alright, so diving straight into our first final lap in Q1, then we'll see how this car handles on lower fuel. Obviously, one thing to do stuff in practice with the practice programs on heavier fuel and hard tyres, but compared to low fuel and soft tyres, it's really a chance to finally see what the upgrade is going to do. A little bit wide at turn 1 there, so lost some speed on the exit. We're going to lose even more time as we move on right to the end of the lap in sector 3, the last 2 corners, and Alex Albon is going to be real slow in the last 2 there. I don't know if he's on an out lap or an in lap or whatever he's on, but he's going so slow through the last corner after completely slam on the brakes and lose a good, I would say, maybe a second based on that entire altercation there. So we go P3 for now. It's eventually going to be P16. No surprise there, to be honest. And so we gain a load of time, and we're about to gain even more time as we go through these next 2 corners. So even before we got to the part where we got held up by Albon, we're already nearly half a second up. And now we'll really climb up through the timing on the top right there, and we're going to get nearly 8 to 9 tenths, nearly a second gain there. And across the line is P4, eventually looking a bit more comfortable in Q1. And so as I thought, and we do make it through. Raikkonen makes it through very easily, and you can see there the pace is looking very good. Obviously, it's early days and it's Q1, so things change and evolve very quickly. But P4 and what was I think P9 or P8 there, looking very good. But Q2 now, this is the crucial one to see if we can comfortably get into the top 10 shootout there. Didn't quite make it at Paul Ricard, but the race pace was good. hopefully this time now with 3 more upgrades onto the car, and all beneficial for this circuit, like I mentioned before the intros. Hopefully this will be a bit of an easier time for us, but very wide in the exit there, very awkward on this year's game with the handling model, I feel, at least in the Alfa Romeo car, to get the nose turned in and slow the thing down in time. And so right now, as I go through towards the end of the session, we're P10. Raikkonen's done a much better job than me in P7, so I'm on the cusp of Q3, so I think I'm probably not going to be safe here, and it's a good thing I went out there, because we go on to the second blind lap of Q2, 10 seconds left in the session, we're down to P12, so very much need to go out again to try and get into Q3. I think Raikkonen's still already safe in the top 10, so we have a lot of time to gain maybe onto him, and we've already gained a decent amount on the exit of turn 1, and we'll gain hopefully more time through the last corner. We're going to be a bit tighter on the line, but the checkered flag has fallen then, so we're fighting the likes of Lance Stroll and Lucas Weber in the Williams car right behind us, but hopefully can we try and pip Lance Stroll and also pip 1 or 2 more other people to get into the top 10 shootout across the line with DRS open. And what is it going to be? I think we will be into Q3. Yes, we will, comfortably in P6 then. Raikkonen ends up in P8, but it's all looking very close indeed. But surprised no one has tried to qualify on the medium tyres actually there, so interesting. So Austria, I don't know, maybe the pace difference is so big on the soft to medium that no one thought it would be confident enough, but I thought maybe a bit of a clever strategy could be pulled off if you did qualify on the mediums. But anyway, alas, we move on into Q3, and we've only got 1 set of new tyres to use, remember, because we did 2 runs in Q2, so this is my only run in Q3 on new set of soft tyres here. So it's the middle of the session, no one's on track apart from me. We go through the last corner. At the moment, Sebastian Vettel is on provisional pole position. We're going to go across the line for P7, and we are just going to beat Raikkonen right now. But remember, everyone has a second run, or most people will have a second run, and so in the end it's going to be P8, and Raikkonen does improve to go P7, but it's really close between myself and Kimi. Nice to see us 2 together on the exact same row of the grid there, but it's very much 2, actually I only just realised, it's literally 2 by 2, it's a Noah's Ark situation. It's a 1-2 for Ferrari, 2 Mercs, 2 Red Bulls, 2 Alphas, and 2 Renaults there. Sergio Perez unfortunately can't get the better of his new teammate Daniel Ricciardo at the first time of asking in the top 10, but he's at least beaten his old team Racing Point, so a positive move there for his career at this stage of the career mode for Sergio Perez. But let's move into the race then, the Austrian GP. Let's get into Sunday.
Good afternoon and welcome to Spielberg, and to a circuit that in one form or another has held every Austrian Grand Prix in the championship except the very first back in 1964. It was at this race that John Watson lost a bet and his beard when he took Team Penske's only F1 victory in 1976. If anything, the stakes are even higher today, with 25 points available for victory and a crucial advantage in the championship fight. The Spielberg circuit then is situated 700 metres above sea level, with just 10 corners making up one of the shortest laps of the season. One time around here is a distance of 2.6 miles, with the best overtaking chances into turn 1 or the tight uphill turn 3. It's time to see how our drivers are stacking up after yesterday's exciting qualifying session. Sebastian Vettel has a clear track ahead of him today. He starts in pole position, and it's Charles Leclerc in P2. Moving on to the rest of the grid, we have Bottas, Hamilton, Max Verstappen, and Gasly, Raikkonen, the engineer, Ricciardo, and Sergio Perez, Hülkenberg, Stroll, Lucas Weber, and Grosjean, Magnussen, Norris, Carlos Sainz, and George Russell. Albon and Devon Butler starts from the back of the grid. Now it's almost time to lights out, so let's go down to the track.
Right, so onto the grid for the Austrian Grand Prix, and looking forward to this race, knowing that we're pretty much best of the rest for now, but we'll have to see how the race pace goes, and the race may throw up a little bit of a spanner in the work in the form of some rain. You can see is indicated not at the very end of the race, kind of just before the ending, so it actually might dry up right at the end before the checkered flag comes out. So that's going to be quite interesting to see if we can maybe do anything clever with, you know, stretching a tyre stint on towards Intes, or going to the end on Intes if it's going to be drying out a little bit slow or rapidly. We'll have to see once we get there, basically. But I'm going to go for that top strategy, then 2 sets of the soft tyre, because if we are going to transition onto Intes at some point, I'd rather just be on the softest compounded tyre the entire race until we get to that point, if everyone's having to make one stop before the rain comes. So I think it just seems the most logical way. But let's just get into this then. Looking forward to what our team can do, and also the new driver transfers, Sergio Perez and Nico Hülkenberg, what they can do in their respective new teams. But here we go then to 5 red lights to the Austrian Grand Prix. The lights are out and we're underway. It's initially an okay start, but then a lot of wheel spin in second and third gear compared to Daniel Ricciardo. He's round our outside. They're going to try and dive bomb him back, but Sergio Perez dive bombs me, and there's been contact for Hamilton. Hamilton's round, and it's a T-bone situation for Gasly and Hamilton. For the first time this season, the full safety car has been called out then. We haven't seen it at all. We've had some virtuals, but we've not seen the full silver Mercedes AMG car come out yet and slow us all down. So the full safety car's out. Ricciardo's managed to get ahead of us in all that chaos there, and I thought I was going to have a real tough time to turn one with Sergio Perez making a huge dive bomb in his new Renault down my inside, but the main action was Hamilton being spun round by the Red Bull Verstappen, I think it was, and then Gasly gets pulled along with Hamilton's rear end here. So a replay now on board of Hamilton. So it's initially actually quite a good start from Hamilton. He dive bombs and makes it 3 wide, and no, it's a spin on Vettel, my bad. It's a spin on Vettel, not Verstappen. I think the Verstappen just got caught up in that and got very close. We ride on board with Pierre Gasly now, and he really wasn't even in the incident. He just kind of got caught up on the exit there with Hamilton spinning quite quickly actually round on the Ferrari car, and then his rear right tyre gets caught up on Hamilton's rear, and he gets spun round, and so Hamilton and Gasly effectively taken out of the top fight of this race. So leading the way is Vettel then from Leclerc. Then you've got the Mercedes of Bottas, and Raikkonen is up into P4 behind the safety car. Great stuff there for the Iceman. Didn't even see that. He really got through well. Then he's ahead of Verstappen, then Ricciardo, myself ahead of Sergio Perez. So Raikkonen, a big winner of that race start then, and so he's probably loving life, and he probably was loving it when he saw Hamilton go round as he nipped through before the safety car came out. But here we go now. Speaking of the safety car, it's going to come in, and we're going to go to green flag through the last corner, trying to get the best exit I can on Ricciardo using the new engine power and drag reduction upgrades on the car. We can already slipstream him around the outside. We go of the Aussie man, a little bit wide though, and we have to take to the curb a little bit, lift off, get back on circuit. Ricciardo has a good exit. He's still there on the right side. A little bit of a tap on the rear end. I can feel it, and Sergio Perez tries to make a move. We're going to block him off somewhat. Yellow flags up, and it's Verstappen. Verstappen's out. The Grand Prix is an engine failure right in front of us there. It's all kicking off at Austria, and so it's a 4-5 for Alfa Romeo. Absolutely amazing stuff there. Raikkonen is still keeping it up in P4, of course, because Verstappen was the only man challenging him behind, and now he's out of the Grand Prix, and I've got in a free position there, and we're up into P5. Looks like Magnussen's also got both Renaults there, because I think both Renaults got kind of almost boxed in by Verstappen having that engine failure, which is unfortunate for them. So Magnussen up into a lofty P6 for the Haas team. But so far, absolutely amazing Grand Prix then for us. 4-5. I definitely wouldn't have guessed that's where we'd be on lap number 4 of this Grand Prix, even from the grid start we had. I thought we would just kind of be staying put there and kind of maybe challenging for a P6, but 4 and 5, absolutely mega. But now you can see, look, the new boys and the new cars are getting stuck into it. Sergio Perez trying to attack down Ricciardo there. They're side by side as they go up the hill to the end of Sector 1, and also Nico Hülkenberg is looking to make some moves potentially, but Perez right now is the one with the DRS pass down the inside of Ricciardo. He's made it put, and he's trying to obviously kind of stamp his authority in his new team here, with Ricciardo being obviously the lead driver, you would say, but Perez coming in and doing the job, and that's maybe why Renault wanted to hire Sergio Perez's services for the rest of the season, wanting to get an upgrade on Hülkenberg and see themselves try and challenge ourselves at Alfa Romeo, really, because obviously we've been doing a great job at staying ahead of Renault so far in the last few episodes of the Constructors. But as we move on now to lap number 7, so we've been pushing on for a few laps and still trying to catch Raikkonen, but he's had some great pace. I must say, Raikkonen's showing why he out-qualified me, because he's got some decent pace and is keeping me very honest in terms of I'm having to really push quite hard to try and catch him, and the tyre wear is also kicking in a decent amount. It is also getting darker, I want to note, so the rain might already be on the way pretty soon, but like I said, the tyres are starting to go off a little bit, and lap number 8, as I'm still trying to gain on Kimi, I have done a little bit, but like I said, my engineer is also saying that it's going to be a tricky situation because the tyres are starting to go off, so you might want to come in, but obviously I think it's a question of, do we want to try and risk it and go long on the softs or not? Looking back at the weather forecast indicator, though, it didn't seem like rain was going to come this early, lap number 8. I would have guessed maybe lap, 16-ish. So I think I'm going to come in and try and get an undercut on Raikkonen. The undercut could be pretty good around Austria. They're just kind of looking off how the tyres are going off here and how they're feeling in the last few corners. So we're going to come in for this early pit stop, and I just got to hope that basically Raikkonen's going to be going on for a few more laps maybe, and I can get that jump on him, and also that the rain doesn't come down straight away. But well, I kind of have to see. It is getting darker and darker by the minute, so it's a bit of a gamble, but it's one I want to take. So we're going on to a set of medium tyres, which is not the tyre I wanted. Hang on, I selected the soft tyre strategy, so I don't know why my team have put me onto medium tyres. So my team have made some sort of error and mistake there, so we're onto a harder set of compound tyres than I wanted to. So now, if the rain does come down a lot sooner than I thought, it's going to be a kind of double disaster. The fact that I haven't even used 2 sets of softs here. We've come out in P16 behind Carlos Sainz, Alexander Albon in the Toro Rosso, and just kind of got to hope now that these medium tyres have some okay pace, as we're going to try and out-traction Sainz, and he is quite poor on the exit there, so maybe the soft tyres already on the tyre to be on after lap number 8, so this might be a pretty okay decision, maybe. Let's see. We go down the inside of Albon. We got yellow flags though as the car was retiring, and so because of that we're getting a legal overtake, which is a little frustrating because the yellow flag zone literally just ends there, and so we have to lift off, let Albon through. Sainz now tries to re-overtake us around the outside. We defend against him and also try and get on the back of Albon straight away. We're going to make a big dive to the inside. That next left-hander very close to the grass on the left, but squeeze him out, and we're up into P13, and now we move on in the clean air and catch up to Lando Norris. But now lap number 12, and the rain is already starting to come down, so this is 3 laps later to be fair, so it wasn't straight away, but now the rain's coming down, and it is about 4 or 5 laps earlier than I thought there would be, and so we get through past Norris, just about nipping through there. Got a side-by-side moment up ahead between Lucas Weber and another car of Lance Stroll in the Racing Point car. We're going to try and out-traction Weber and getting a great exit, so you see there, these guys may be still going long on the soft tyres, but they're definitely gone off the cliff a little bit, and they're probably going to be even worse now in these damp conditions. So in a way, you know, I've got some good pace, and it was a kind of almost correct decision to come in, but at the same time, because everyone's not come in, I pretty much, it looks like I've been the only one. It probably wasn't worth it in the end. I don't think I've lost too much time to Raikkonen in the end though, because they're losing so much time on those soft tyres that I'm gaining kind of a lot of the time back, but we've lost obviously some time, but we're going to gain a lot back because Raikkonen continues on and doesn't come in on that lap, as well as a lot of cars ahead of us there are all not coming in for intermediates, whereas I think, you saw there I said box this lap, because I thought it was time for the inters straight away now, as we can see the Haas defending against the Ferrari car, and you can see Daniel Ricciardo being overtaken by one of the Red Bulls. I think that's Gasly recovering, but we're going to come in because I think it looks wet enough for inters, and certainly the feeling in the car, the tyres were very slippery there every single mid-apex, so I'm going to come in. So like I said, we didn't lose too much time to Raikkonen, and we're going to gain some more time back on him there for the fact that right now we should be gaining some time on these inters versus him slipping and sliding around on those worn soft tyres. So all in all, probably going to equalise itself and not be too bad of a decision in the end, and so all will stay put and all will be calm at the moment because we're already into P10, and so we should try and climb back up. Of course, we were P4 and 5, so that'll be the real litmus test to see where we are at the end of this thing, this end of this saga of the pit stops and the rain coming down as we move on through. Lap 13 very much is wet enough now because the car is driving a lot slower now through that last corner. We're having to tiptoe around on these inters conditions, but here we go now down the main stroke and overtake Magnussen, Ricciardo, Gasly maybe just about, and Leclerc on the exit is ahead of us, but we should be able to get him maybe. Obviously he's going to be coming out, you know, fresh from the pit stop, so hopefully we can try and catch him a little bit napping as he comes out on the outlap there, but I believe Raikkonen is 2 cars ahead of us, so that's not too bad in hindsight of the fact that we did make a whole extra pit stop. So here we go on the exit. To me, some really great traction on Leclerc, and we're up into P5, so that Ferrari car not doing too well in the wet conditions. And up ahead next is Nico Hülkenberg and his new Racing Point car, and hopefully we'll be able to catch him. We should have some superior pace to the Racing Point car, being ahead of them in the R&D chart just about, I think, on paper. So we come through now on lap 15 into turn 1. He's going very slowly there. We take it nice and easy on the exit, try and get the power down as early as we dare, go up to hot lap mode, then overtake mode, and we're going to gain the speed in the slipstream. The engine power and the drag reduction upgrades working a treat, and here we go. Hulkenberg goes, squeezes us right to the inside there, and so we have to play a bit of chicken with him on the inside, but in the end we have the balls to go down the inside. We're up into P4 and Raikkonen's P3, so not only we're back up to where we kind of were, but we've actually somehow gained 1 free position. So I think that might have been Leclerc going down the order, because of course I think it was a 1-2 for Ferrari, then it was Bottas in P3 before the pit stops and before the rain, so Leclerc being the big one that's lost out there. Maybe he got held up in the pit lane, I'm not too sure, but right now as it stands we're running 3-4 for Alfa Romeo, so we're matching our current best position so far this season at the Monaco Grand Prix. So this really has been an amazing GP for us so far, but we've got a lot of the Grand Prix left over, but we're going to move all the way to lap 22 then, 7 laps later in that stint, and only now I'm really starting to make some inroads into catching Kimi Raikkonen. He's been very good in these conditions, to be fair, and like I said earlier, you know, he's showing off the pace he showed in qualifying in the race here so far, but we are catching him slowly but surely. Hopefully we'll be able to try and make a pass, but the thing is, as we've been catching him, I've tried to be a little bit clever about saving fuel for the end of this Grand Prix, because there will be a potential dry period at the end, and so I want enough fuel to burn on the slick tyres. There's no point really going rich mix, because that's only just going to spin up your tyres more, make it actually more difficult to drive in these conditions. So I've been staying in lean mixture and just trying to use the ERS modes also cleverly to try and save up charge when we can on the straights to kind of deploy it as well. But just kind of taking it a little bit easy in this stint, kind of setting ourselves up for better down the line. Also at the same time, my engineer now is talking about tyre wear and coming in soon enough for another set of inters, which surprised me because I thought we'd do this entire wet period on one set of inters. But lo and behold, on lap 26, 10 laps to go, and Raikkonen has come in for a pit stop. You've got the likes of Vettel, Bottas also coming in, and so kind of very, very strange. I thought we wouldn't have needed this pit stop, but it looks like we are, so everyone's going to do it. So I may as well also do that, because obviously I'm getting flashbacks into the Spanish Grand Prix where we got a puncher for going way too long on inters. But you can see here the tyre wear does kick in a little bit, because Vettel sends one to the inside there, taps me sideways as we go off a little bit just on our own accord after just having a lack of grip on that left-hander there. So I think it definitely is time to come in. These inters are losing a lot of grip, and so I'd rather not even take the risk of another puncher, because that would just be a nightmare, especially after, compared to Spain, this race has been so good results-wise already so far in this Grand Prix. To chuck it away with a puncher just by not wanting to come in at the same time as everyone else would be kind of annoying after the fact. Raikkonen in P4 at the moment, that will be back up into P3, but looks like we are still good for this 3-4 right now at the Austrian GP. Leclerc just not showed much of any kind of pace in that Ferrari, whereas Vettel there waltzed past me, so kind of weird. Maybe Leclerc maybe just not suitable in these conditions. I don't know, he's got an issue with his car or not. Whatever the case, we're going to be out now in P4, just about maybe, because Leclerc is going to be pretty damn close, so showing that we did lose a decent amount of time on that one lap going longer, because Raikkonen's also grown that gap exponentially there, so probably in hindsight should have come in a lot earlier for a new set of inters. But we're going to move on, press on to lap 32, 4 laps to go in this Grand Prix, and we are catching back up to Raikkonen now, and we're starting to push on with the fuel and the ERS burning, because if we go on through these laps, it's less and less likely we go to a set of dry tyres. And also with Leclerc barreling down on us behind us, keeping the pressure up, it's kind of encouraging me to go forward and try and overtake Raikkonen before we get kind of basically double overtaken, I guess, by Leclerc. If the pace doesn't pick up there, Raikkonen poor on traction, but he's going to block us off as we try to move right there, but Raikkonen just also twitches to the middle of the circuit, so doing a good job defensively of blocking me off unintentionally or intentionally. I don't know, either way it's working for him as he goes defensive to the inside. We're going to have a little look on the exit potentially. We're again with good traction trying to wrestle the car through in a straight line. We do get a great exit, but Raikkonen keeps his nose in there, really dive bombs me then to the next left-hander. We're on the outside line, he's going to squeeze us out, and just like the move with Vettel, we're almost sent off onto the grass there. Thankfully getting the car back on track a little bit quicker than I did with the Vettel situation, so Leclerc could not dive bomb me. But we move on to the very next lap now, lap 33 again on the exit, trying to get the power down, but then Raikkonen blocks me off there because there's nowhere to really go. And now Leclerc will try and get in the mix. We have to try and defend against Leclerc at the same time as attacking our teammate there. We're looking on the outside, we're going to brake early, try and get tight to the apex there, get the power down so much early this time. And now this is finally, I think, where we're going to make the move and make it stick up into P3 there, as Leclerc really for the first time looked very dangerous there to overtaking either myself or Raikkonen. But Raikkonen comes back at us on the outside. It's a brilliant little brake zone there for Raikkonen. Goes around the outside. We've drifted through the apex there, so I've got the braking a little bit wrong, and Raikkonen is good on the exit. We're saving ERS. You can see there's the lights flash around, but Leclerc, here he comes, finally making some moves. Down the inside he goes. I think the rain is starting to settle down here, and the sun is starting to come out, because it looks a lot drier now on the replay cameras, as well on screen. We don't have any more droplets of rain. The DRS is now enabled, so that's how you know it's getting towards dry. And Leclerc now is coming alive, so maybe it's just a Ferrari situation if it's just not a very good car on the wet potentially, because as soon as it starts to get dry, Leclerc just picks up mega pace, and here he comes now, lap 34, looking to overtake me. And so we're on hot lap mode, but we've got low fuel, so we can't burn any fuel to try and counteract him. We're going to try our best, but double lock up. We're going to go off circuit, and that's going to be a horrendous mistake, because Raikkonen might also get us on the exit. We're going to come back very awkwardly across the bump and the grass into P4, and Leclerc's got us to P3, so I think that might be the last we see of the podium position, to be honest there. So Leclerc and the Ferrari coming alive a little bit more as soon as we get towards dry period. But we're on like the last few laps here. We've only got 2 laps left in this Grand Prix. The sun hasn't fully come out yet. I don't know if it's worth coming in for dry tyres. I reckon we could maybe just try and straggle onto the checkered flag on a set of inters maybe. I think that's what we'll try and do, because I don't even have any new sets of tyres to use. I've all got, used soft tyres, used medium tyres. So is there much point coming in? I'd rather maybe take the risk and try and go to the end of this race on these inters on a drying track and try and see what we can do, because Leclerc comes in, so he's definitely going to a set of, I would assume, soft tyres or whatever he has left basically in the tyre allocation. But myself and Raikkonen will both continue on, so it looks like both Alfa Romeo cars here today. We are going to try and risk it for a chocolate biscuit and go to the end of the Grand Prix on intermediate tyres on a drying track, which is rapidly drying now, because on the replay cameras it doesn't even look like it's wet anymore. But to be fair, Vettel and Bottas up ahead are still also on inters, so they're also trying to go maybe a little bit longer. But now Raikkonen's dive bombing down the inside. He's got the better of me because I go very cautious in the brake zone, because of course I don't know how much grip there is now, because we're effectively doing the wet tire on the dry track challenge right at the end of this GP. So for now Raikkonen's got us back, but can we try and do anything on this remainder 1.5 laps? We'll have to see. But in comes Leclerc. He's going to be coming quite rapidly on the medium tyres and down into turn. The last turn, we've tried to dive bomb Raikkonen into the last corner. It's not worked out. We've all sandwiched together. We're 3 wide onto the last lap of the Grand Prix. Leclerc's got us in an instant there. He's up into P3. We tried to dive bomb Raikkonen to the last corner, and what happened was that it just did not work at all. But now we're going to try and dive him to the inside of the hairpin at the end of Sector 1, try and get that switch back on him and get the good exit. We're side by side. We've got the speed in a straight line with Holland mode engaged down into that next right-hander, but we've gone a little bit too hot. Lock up on the front right, nearly completely off circuit there as the track is completely bone dry at this point. Raikkonen gets me back, and we have a little look into the next left. Doesn't look likely, because in these long swooping corners it's going to be so difficult to get the power down and even get the nose turned in, let alone in the dry getting the nose turned in the Alfa Romeo car. But with the inters, it's just not going to work, and the sun is fully out now, so we both risked it and it hasn't really worked out. In the end though, we'll still come home in P4 and 5, but absolutely crazy scenes there. I tried my best to dive him to the inside of this last corner, didn't work out there. Leclerc came round the outside, had a bit of an awkward three-way moment there. We got locked onto wheels, but in the end it's still P4 and 5, so we effectively match our best result for the Monaco Grand Prix. So all in all, not too bad in the end.
You stepped up and achieved what we asked. Good job.
The Mercedes team pulled out a fantastic performance today. They should be proud. Anthony Davidson, what helped them deliver this result, do you think?
Without a doubt, the safety car changed everything today. The key to their success was keeping calm and reacting to the situation quickly. We've seen teams in the past throw away wins because they were too hesitant, but here they were decisive, and that's allowed them to take the advantage.
So after a magnificent race, we can now see the drivers making their way to the podium. Once again, it's the Silver Arrows who take top spot, a well-earned victory for Mercedes.
So Valtteri Bottas will go on to win that Austrian Grand Prix, then Vettel in P2, and Leclerc did get that P3 right at the death on towards the last lap of the GP. But like I said, still a great result for the team. We both move up in the Drivers' Championship, up into P8 and 9 respectively there, so looking good. Sergio Perez moves down the order as he didn't actually score points in this race. Nico Hülkenberg did in his new Racing Point car, but he doesn't move any positions in the championship there. But it's still just weird to see, really, to be honest. Sergio Perez next to Renault and Nico Hülkenberg next to Racing Point, like I said, knowing it's not a PC mod that I've installed. But now we move up the order in the table to P4 in the standings. Renault down to P5. So Perez and Ricciardo got some work cut out for them if they want to try and get that P4 back. So right now we are best of the rest and the top of the midfield fight right now, which is absolutely crazy to think where we were at the very start of the season. This car has come such a long way, with rapid R&D involvement on the aero side of things. In hindsight, such a good thing that we did that efficiency on the aero department really earlier into the career mode, and also the results have just come in thick and fast as well. Raikkonen's finally picked up his pace ever since Monaco, really, and it's all just come through really well. It's a great turnaround, and this is where I wanted Alfa to be this season. I thought we would kind of start off around P7 and hoping to get to P4. Instead, we started all the way down in P10 and P9, the constructors, and wanted to try and get up here, but we've really turned it around, and I'm very happy for the team and proud that we've done that job. But we beat Sergio Perez in the end then for our first rivalry showing with the new Renault driver, so at least that was a positive there, despite being beaten by Raikkonen. We'll look to some more developments. And to be honest, after kind of looking at the tree and looking at what we could do, and also neglecting one part, which is the reliability so far, I thought, you know what, let's go ahead and spend at least some R&D points on the general reliability of the car, because I've noticed also the engine parts have been wearing out a little bit. I'm already on my second column for a lot of things out of 2, and 2 out of 3 for others. So I think general reliability, where an upgrade on that will be kind of much appreciated for the car's sake, I think. And we're also going for a weight redistribution upgrade there, because, well, I would have gone for a reduction, but I think also the car could do with some redistribution of the weight, because I think that will help the balance mid-corner, maybe try and help that kind of light front end feel and that kind of heavy rear end feel of feeling so stable in the rear but getting no response on the front end. Maybe this is going to change things by, you know, moving some of the weight forward potentially, and kind of having it, well, distributed out a little bit more evenly potentially, but that's just a kind of hopeful thinking there. But so we're going to have 2 chassis upgrades on the go and then 1 durability, so looking pretty good. I think next time we'll probably work on aero, I would say, now that we've done a lot of stuff on chassis stuff in the last episode also, and also engine power. I think show the aero side a bit more love once again. But that's been a pretty damn amazing episode, like I said, matching our best result at Monaco, and a very exciting episode overall by seeing the first driver transfer of the season. So guys, if you did enjoy that, be sure to smash that like button. Let me know what you thought in the comments below. If you are new around here, subscribe for weekly Formula content. I've been aarava. Have a good day. I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.